About being a good girl is a surefire way to sabotage your leadership. So this is today's leadership live. We're going to go into what um, where you're struggling, what mistakes you are, or how do you recognize this? And maybe you don't recognize it for yourself. You could recognize it for one of your colleagues or someone within your acquaintance or your friends or family. So before I get into this, I do want to mention I have got only 5 more spots open. That these are the last 5 spots for the next couple of months. So if you are ready to uplevel your leadership mindset, you want to find a new way or a more sustainable way of working and building your career and having that personal life, or you're ready to take that next step in your career, you're just not sure, well, what do I do, or what's the right decision, or what's the right move, or how do I get to that next step? Then I want you to DM me leader and let's start having a conversation around that. Okay, let's get into today's topic because this is a big one. Yes, we most of the time, it's quite scary at times how often we as women have been conditioned into being the good girl, right? So let's talk about this and why it's such a almost guaranteed way to sabotage your leadership. So, and I like to call it as women, as you're growing and as you're growing your career and you're finding yourself at this point of like, okay, well, I keep asking for permission, or I'm looking to make sure that I get validation that I've done it right, that you're actually creating what I call your own good girl glass ceiling. Now, you may have been told that as a woman, you need to work extra hard. I mean, this is a conversation I've so many times. I have to work extra hard, be agreeable. I can't be too passionate, so I need to make sure that I moderate my tone. Can't be yelling. I cannot. Well, you shouldn't be yelling whether you're male or female. But really, you've been told that as a woman, you need to work hard, be extremely agreeable, and you never want to make a wave on your way to succeed in leadership. And you might be believing that being a good girl at work is really your best shot at being valued and respected. But this is only a misconception because it's also holding you back in your growth as a leader. Now, look, I get it. Really, I do. Because as society and culture as a large, and even our own families have often conditioned us, and especially girls and women, to be good, to seek approval, right? Have the right behaviors and to avoid making any mistakes. So it really feels more safer and more comfortable to continuously look around and go, okay, well, I just need to make sure that, is it okay if I take this decision? Is it okay if we move in this direction with the strategy? But I want to take a step back and just examine some of the most successful women leaders out there. Sheryl Sandberg, Michelle Obama, Indra Nooyi. They didn't ascend to their positions by constantly seeking approval or shying away from taking risks. They stepped outside of their comfort zones, made tough decisions, and sometimes, yes, they even upset people. Now, here's the tricky part, right? This When you're working in this good girl glass ceiling, what you're doing is it's actually leading you to often overwork, have self-doubt, and a crippling fear of failure, right? Because you weren't allowed, or you've been conditioned to think that making mistakes is bad. And you're stuck in this constant cycle of seeking validation, avoiding any risks, which really hinders your ability to innovate, inspire, and to lead effectively. Now, what does this look like? Because you might be thinking, well, that doesn't sound like me. But I'm going to give you 5 different ways that this shows up. 1, you're staying silent during important discussions. Whether it's because you think, well, my idea isn't really worth sharing, or I don't have anything to contribute, or, well, I don't want to overstep. That's another really big one that I hear. I don't want to overstep with sharing my ideas. The second way is you're over apologizing when it's unnecessary. Now, I need to admit here in this moment, as a Canadian, I often find myself apologizing excessively. And I actually even apologize for apologizing. Of course, that's a cultural thing. That's also a bit of I know through all my travels, is a bit of a joke that Canadians apologize a lot. but it is still part of this good girl glass ceiling experience that you're constantly you're over apologizing when it's not even necessary. So for example, if someone had been unclear and you didn't understand, you still apologize for misunderstanding them even though the person that was responsible hadn't communicated clearly. So in other words, you're apologizing and taking on the responsibilities for thinking you should have known better, or you should have known that information even if you weren't given it, right? You're constantly, there's a lot of self-blame in this. You avoid any kind of constructive conflict. So courageous conversations that need to take place, you're avoiding those as much as possible. You're downplaying your achievement. So we've got 4 right now, right? You're staying silent during important decisions. You're over apologizing when it's unnecessary. You're avoiding constructive conflict. You downplay your achievements. Oh, you know what? I just got lucky, or the team was really great at that. And 5th, you're constantly seeking validation. So you get frustrated when no one recognizes the great work that you've put out there, or the achievements that you've realized, because you need to validate this, that I did this as a good thing, right? Up until you get validation, you're constantly second guessing yourself whether or not the decision, the action that you took was the right one or the best one. But as soon as somebody else looks at it and goes, hey, you did a great job there, that was a good decision, you're like, yes, good. And you can actually accept that. You cannot give it to yourself. Now, when you're in these, again, these are some of the ways to recognize if you're experiencing this good girl glass ceiling. Some of the things that you'll experience, or the pain you'll experience, is that you're likely on track, if you haven't already, burnt out because you've been working way too hard. You've stunted your own career growth because, again, you're asking for permission. You're waiting for someone to say, hey, this opportunity would be great for you. Why don't you apply? You are wanting someone else to just say, this is the promotion that you get this promotion now. You have my permission for this promotion, rather than you're going up and saying, hold on a minute, I can do this and I don't need permission to apply. I don't need permission to think that I can and to believe that I could do that position. You are frustrated because you've got a lack of recognition. You know that there's so much, you can do so much, you have so much potential, but somehow no one's seeing it. Your opinions may be disregarded. Now, it kind of makes sense, right? If you're not willing to speak up, or you think your ideas aren't worthy of sharing, then you, being the person that when you do share your opinions, people might disregard it, especially if you share it in a way that isn't really assertive or powerful communication way. And you limit your own personal growth. Again, because you're constantly looking for validation, you're wanting people to give you permission to do what you want to do. All right. Now, what is the way out? Right? Because we can talk all day about what this good girl glass ceiling looks like, but we really want actually to move out of this zone. So, what's the way out? What do all successful, vibrant women leaders do? Well, they have all had the right mindset. So, can you find me any successful woman leader that didn't have the right mindset? I'm willing to bet the answer is no. I haven't found them yet. So, how do you get the right mindset? Well, first thing you do is you're going to start by uncovering your belief system, which is one of several key components of the power alignment pillar of my Leadership Edge program. The key is to uncover the beliefs that are driving your good girl glass ceiling behavior. And once you're aware of these beliefs, you can begin to change them. Now, we've highlighted a few of them, right? It might be, I need permission to lead, or I need permission to make this decision, or I need approval to be able to execute and implement this strategy. It might be that a belief you might have is, my ideas aren't good enough, or I always need to be perfect in order to succeed. It might be that you believe that conflicts are always bad. That's why you're avoiding them. Maybe it's, I'm not a natural born leader. So here's a couple of those examples of the beliefs that could be underlying that good girl glass ceiling behavior. Now, What you want to do once you've unpacked that, once you stripped back and gotten to what are the beliefs that are getting in my way that is causing me to experience this good girl glass ceiling, is I want you to then to be very clear on what do you want to believe? What do you want to embrace? And what behaviors and actions that would now happen if you look and adapt and adopt new beliefs? How would you show up differently now? What would you do differently? Because creating the right mindset means going deep into your beliefs, your values, and identity so that you're being a good girl, asking for permission, looking for validation becomes a piece of your past history and not the future. All right. So let me ask you, are you wanting to continue striving to be this good girl looking for permission and seeking out validation? Or would you rather focus on taking on the right mindset so that you can operate more powerfully, just like every vibrant leader has? If that's you, I want you to DM me leader and let's have a conversation because, as I said at the top, I have 5 spots open for to help you through this transition. So if you're ready to realize and create your own powerful leadership mindset in the next 30 to 60 days, DM me leader and let's have a conversation. And as always, you can drop in any comments or questions you've got either in the comments below or DM me and let's have a conversation because I'd love to hear what are your questions or what is your experience with the good girl glass ceiling. And again, let go of this good girl so that you stop sabotaging your leadership and you actually grow and you reach that full potential and that full ambition and the dreams that you have, those goals that you have for yourself, so that you reach those. And I can help you along the way. I've helped over 60 plus women leaders over the last 2.5 years. So DM me leader and let's have a conversation and to find out if you're someone I can help as well. All right. Have a great day. And I'm wishing you a fantastic weekend. And we'll talk to you again next week.